Hello everyone, Amtrak Guy 365 here, and today I am bringing a belated but nonetheless here layout update for Christmas and my birthday, which was on January 1st. Here we have our Athearn ready-to-run Canadian National with Grand Trunk Western Patch SD40-2 with Economy sound. The sound itself is okay. It sounds somewhat prototypical to a Nathan M5 or an M3, but I would have preferred something maybe more like a P5. Overall, the detail is very nice. The paint is crisp, but apparently one of the ditch light kind of bulbs, it appears, is to be blown out. Don't know why, but that's just the way it is. This model runs very smooth. It can definitely handle a pretty good load, and I think it's a great addition to my CN fleet. Here we have a Walthers CSX SD60 in the YN2 paint scheme, coming equipped with Soundtrack sound. The sounds are essentially identical to the Economy sound of the CN unit, and the horn isn't really that prototypical for a CSX engine like this. But overall, the detail and the paint is real good. The headlights are a bit on the brighter side, as you might be able to tell from the camera. The sound is rather muffled as well. The horn is way quieter than the bell and the engine noises, and overall everything on the sound side just kind of sounds muffled. It's not that bad though. The engine sounds pretty good and everything, but I would have preferred a more prototypical horn and kind of better bell. But nonetheless, the detail is kind of what makes up for the muffled sound and all. But then again, it's a kind of budget-friendly model. Here we have an Exact Rail Trenton Works or TTX 67-foot bulkhead flat car. The only other bulkhead flat car I have is a Wisconsin Central one, and the pipe load is now gone because of my cat. But nonetheless, this is a fairly good model. I mean, it's got good detail for a flat car. I mean, I guess you could really only do so much. I think it's a nice looking model. However, there's these two little things right here. I'm assuming they go somewhere in here, according to what I read in the little kind of instruction manual book thing. I don't really know where these go. I think they go there, but I really don't know. I've just kind of had them laying around. I mean, even if they're supposed to go in there and they're not right now, it still looks decent. But overall, nice model. Glad to have it. Here we have an Athearn 50-foot boxcar for the Port Huron and Detroit Railroad, which is only adding on to my collection of PH&D boxcars. Overall, pretty good model. I like the color. It seems like every maker of these boxcars has a different shade of blue to it. I don't know what the right one is. I think the most accurate one of these Port Huron and Detroit boxcars that I've seen is probably from Atlas. Every other variation, Walthers, and now this one especially is kind of different. And they done screwed up on this, because there's supposed to be a D right there, as seen right here for the Detroit. While it is accurate, so to speak, since the railroad never reached Detroit and it only went as far as Port Huron to the north, there should be a D there. I don't know if it's just my model or it's just all of the kind of Athearn runs of this boxcar, but I might like kind of put the D there somehow or whatever, paint it on, I don't know, decal it, but I don't know. You tell me what's up with this boxcar. Here we have an Athearn 52-foot mill gondola for the Santa Fe. Now this model is pretty nice. I've been kind of wanting to get some kind of western rolling stock to kind of just mix it up a bit, and just kind of, I thought Santa Fe would be a nice place to start. And overall, really nice model, kind of good for, it's got decent stuff and detail for a gondola. There's a bit of scenery bits in there. I don't know how they got in there, but whatever. Overall, good model, and yeah, I'm glad to have it. Here we have another Athearn model 52-foot mill gondola for Railgon, or GONX, whatever that stands for. Overall, I thought this would be a nice model. These are pretty common gondolas to see out on the rails, and I only have two other gondolas, the Santa Fe one and a Burlington Northern one that's somewhere from an old starter set. I think the colors are definitely nice, bit of a nice contrast from the rest of the rolling stock, as you can see there, which we'll get to that one in a little bit. But overall, good model, looks good, and glad to have it. Here we have a Walthers Proto 56-foot all-door boxcar for the Lake State Railway. This is definitely a unique looking model and nothing like I've ever really have on my layout other than your regular usual boxcars, but I don't exactly remember what these boxcars carried. I almost wanted to say wood chips, but I would assume they use gondolas for that instead. If anyone can correct me or tell me exactly what they carried in these large boxcars, then go right ahead, because I'm rather interested. But I picked this up mainly because, well, I'm in Michigan, and I'm thinking about getting some kind of northern short line Michigan locomotives, like Central Michigan, Huron and Eastern, things like that. And this, I think this would fit right in for a consist. And overall, I picked this up just because I really like the look of it. I'm from Michigan, and it's Michigan Railroad, and it looks really cool in my opinion. So yeah, a really good model. Here we have an Intermountain 50-foot boxcar for rail box with Montana Rail Link markings. This is a pretty good model. I figured rail box, pretty common boxcars to see, and I kind of wanted one for my layout. And the only real complaint I have about this model is kind of this like yellow kind of fading of the paint up along the roof. I don't really think that's prototypical. I mean, it may be to some extent, but it just kind of looks a bit off-putting. I mean, you could probably hide that with like weathering or whatever, but other than that, details pretty good. I like it. Color's bright and everything, and the details real good. Here we have a Walthers Mainline 50-foot insulated boxcar for Canadian Pacific, or CP Rail, as some people may prefer to call it. Now, I'm not sure really exactly what they carried in an insulated heated boxcar. If anyone wants to tell me, then go right ahead. But overall, it's a really good looking model. I like the bright colors of it, contrasts kind of the different darker colors of rolling stock boxcars and tank cars, things like that. And I just kind of wanted some Canadian Pacific equipment for my layout. And now the last piece of equipment I've acquired is an Athearn Roundhouse Canadian National Wide Vision caboose. Now I kind of needed a Canadian National caboose. I already have a Grand Trunk Western one, as some of you may know, and I just needed a CN one to really go along with the CN SD40-2 and the other SD40 I have, just so I can model kind of like later 70s and maybe even late 60s kind of trains if I get maybe Canadian National F unit. But I picked this up just because, well, Canadian National, and I can't really go wrong with that. And it's a pretty basic looking model, but you can really only do so much, and these caboose or cabooses didn't really have that many markings. So, but other than that, really good model. I like it, and I just kind of like the look of this kind of wide vision, as they call it. Just kind of looks unique and different from the usual like cupola. Moving on to some scenery, I'm not sure if I showed this in the last layout update, but I added some trees right here just so it looks slightly more forested and you can't really maybe see the wall as much. I mean, you can still see it obviously, but maybe not as much. Not much really going on here. I've added a couple of trees here and there, smaller ones, like right in here. I've got some trees from the hobby shop. As you can see right here, I picked some up, just kind of putting them around, I kind of want to make like almost like a canopy of the sorts, where it kind of looks like the trains are just coming kind of through a forest, or just kind of a tunnel of trees, so to speak, kind of like at this angle. I haven't put all the trees down, but later on I'll be putting some more trees here, and then probably some right in here. And other than that, there actually really hasn't been any other scenery changes, except actually I have added a tree over here, and I don't think these were in the last layout update, but those are there now. Other than that, that's it for scenery. However, there may be a change, a rather large change coming to the layout. That is, this second loop right here may be gone in its entirety or be turned into a passing track. The main reason is because all the trains kind of lose current from this track right here, I believe, and they don't get any other current until about this track right there, where this Burlington Northern boxcar is. I think it might have to do with one of the kind of like connectors not being in place, or I don't know if the track's faulty. I've tried replacing with other bits of track before, and it still hasn't worked. I really don't know what the problem is. Right in here, it's all fine. I mean, the connection's a little choppy because I still have to clean. I haven't cleaned this bit of track off in a while. But over there, I just can't get any kind of current from the track. So, and plus, with these kind of Bachmann's turnouts, I think they're like number fours, but large pieces of rolling stock like the center beam and auto racks and even the box cars and hoppers sometimes will just derail because it's so sharp. And the only way I can access the yard is through the second loop, and if I want to switch out cars, it's going to hit the dead end. So either I'm going to take all of this yard and move it to the right and then have the kind of lead track, or just kind of the switch to the track, to enter the yard and put it on the outer loop and like maybe move this inwards a little bit so it isn't so close to the edge of the foam. Or I'm just gonna have to figure out another way to get the trains to go from the outer loop to the yard, because kind of trying to switch them back and forth like that is a bit of a pain. So I was thinking probably if it was a passing loop, there would be no track right here, but there would be a switch somewhere right here, and then just kind of go up and around and then end somewhere over there by those trees. Not sure yet though. There may be some major changes to this like secondary loop unless I figure out a fix to this kind of connection issue. And plus I kind of like to have I want to have this industry and grain elevator right here be accessible by the outer loop. It just seems like it makes it a lot more easier for me, and plus I'm really only ever running one train at a time. So other than that, that's really it for scenery. So that might be a change up coming up soon. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this layout update. I hope you guys enjoyed. Not really much to talk about other than maybe the locomotives and rolling stock, not much in terms of scenery. Not sure when the next layout update will be, but kind of whenever I get a significant amount of rolling stock and locomotives or maybe even scenery done, that'll be when the next one is. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in another video.